There is a kind of pain a woman never talks about. Not because it's small, but because it cuts too deep. To explain, it doesn't come when she's in the relationship. It doesn't come when the man is giving, loving, present. No, it comes after the silence, after the distance, after the man who once stood beside her walks away without looking back. That's when it begins. At first, it feels like freedom. No more accountability, no more pressure, no more expectations. But then something shifts. The texts stop coming. The consistency disappears. The emotional safety she once had is gone. And suddenly, what she once called ordinary starts to feel irreplaceable. Because the truth is, a good man is not loud. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't compete for validation. He simply shows up again and again, with loyalty, with patience, with presence. And most people don't realize the value of that until it's no longer there. Until the space he filled becomes an emptiness nothing else can replace. And that's when the real pain begins. Not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, heavy, and constant. So stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to show you is what truly happens when a woman loses a good man. And if you understand this kind of truth, make sure you subscribe to Stoic Golden Tribe, because this is where real men come to grow, think deeper, and see life for what it truly is. While he was with her, she didn't see him clearly. Not because he wasn't enough, but because he was too consistent to be noticed. He showed up every day. He checked on her, he listened, he stayed. And over time, what should have felt rare started to feel normal, predictable, safe. And for someone who hasn't yet learned the value of peace, safety can feel like boredom. So she began to look past him, not intentionally, but gradually. She compared him to louder men, men who brought excitement, unpredictability, emotional highs and lows, men who made her feel something intense, even if it wasn't real. And without realizing it, she started to undervalue the one thing most people spend their whole lives searching for: a man who is stable, loyal, and real. She didn't see the discipline it took for him to stay grounded. She didn't recognize the strength in his calmness. She didn't understand that his consistency was a form of love. Because consistency doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It just exists quietly. And that's why it's so easy to overlook. She thought she had time. She thought he would always be there. She thought his patience meant permanence. But what she didn't understand was this: even the strongest man gets tired of being taken for granted. Even the most patient man has a limit. And the moment he starts to feel unseen, unappreciated, replaceable, something inside him begins to change. Not loudly, not emotionally, but silently. He starts to detach. He gives a little less. He speaks a little less. He feels a little less. Until one day, he's no longer the same man who stayed through everything. And by the time she notices that shift, it's already too late. Because a good man doesn't leave suddenly. He leaves slowly, in silence, long before he physically walks away. So if you've ever been in a place where you gave your all and still felt invisible, stay with me. Because this is where everything begins to fall apart. At first, it doesn't feel real. The absence, it's subtle, almost unnoticeable, because she's used to him being there. She assumes somehow he still is. Maybe he's just busy. Maybe he needs space. Maybe he'll come back the way he always did. But this time, he doesn't. The messages stop. The calls don't come. The presence she once ignored disappears completely. And that's when the silence begins. Not the peaceful kind, the heavy kind. The kind that fills the room at night. The kind that sits with her in quiet moments. The kind that makes her reach for her phone, only to realize there's no one there anymore. No, did you get home safe? No, I'm here if you need me. No steady voice grounding her when things feel uncertain. Just emptiness. And slowly, that emptiness starts to speak. It reminds her of the little things, the way he listened without interrupting, the way he stayed calm when she was overwhelmed, the way he chose her, even on days she was hard to love. Things she once overlooked now feel impossible to replace, because what she thought was basic was actually rare. And now she starts to compare, not intentionally, but naturally. The new attention feels inconsistent, the conversations feel shallow, the effort feels temporary, and for the first time, she begins to understand the difference between a man who is present and men who are just passing through, but understanding doesn't bring him back. And that's where it starts to hurt. Because now, she doesn't just feel his absence, she feels the weight of what she lost. And deep down, she knows this silence isn't temporary. This time, it's final. So keep watching, because this is the moment regret begins to take shape. And then it hits her, not all at once, but in waves. Unexpected, unforgiving, unavoidable. A song plays, and suddenly she remembers him. The way he used to look at her, like she was enough. A random moment during the day, and she thinks of how he would have handled it. Calm, steady, present. And that's when the truth begins to settle in. She didn't just lose a man, she lost her peace. Because what he gave her was never ordinary. It was rare. And now, she sees it everywhere. In the inconsistency of others, in the empty conversations, in the promises that don't last. She starts to meet men who talk more, but mean less. Men who excite her, but don't stay. Men who make her feel something, but never make her feel safe. And slowly, the comparison becomes painful, because now she understands what she had was different. But here's the part that cuts the deepest. She remembers the moments she pulled away, the times she ignored his effort, the days she responded with coldness instead of appreciation, the silence she gave when he needed reassurance. And now, those same moments replay in her mind, over and over again, not as memories, but as regrets. She wonders, what if I had done things differently? What if I had appreciated him more? What if I had just understood him? But life doesn't answer, what if? It just moves forward without him. And the hardest part? She can't tell anyone. Because on the outside, she looks fine, she smiles, she talks, she moves on, like nothing happened. But inside, there's a quiet weight she carries, a truth she can't escape. That she once had something real, and let it slip through her hands. And no matter how much time passes, that realization doesn't fade. It sharpens. Because deep down, she knows she may never find that same kind of man again. And that is the pain she can't hide. So, stay with me, because now comes the truth every man must understand before he gives his loyalty to the wrong person. Now listen carefully, because this part isn't about her anymore, it's about you, the man who gives, the man who stays, the man who tries to build something real. You have to understand this truth early, not after you've been drained, not after you've been broken, but now. A good man is not rare because he's perfect. He's rare because he chooses discipline over impulse. He chooses loyalty over attention. He chooses consistency, even when it's not appreciated. But here's where many good men go wrong. They think love means endurance. They believe that if they just stay a little longer, give a little more, be a little more patient, eventually she will understand. Eventually, she will see their value. But the truth is, if someone needs to lose you to understand your worth, then they were never ready for you in the first place. A man who knows his value doesn't beg to be seen. He doesn't compete for attention. He doesn't shrink himself to fit into someone else's confusion. He observes. He notices the lack of appreciation. He feels the shift in energy. He sees when his presence is no longer respected. And when that moment comes, he doesn't argue. He doesn't chase. He doesn't try to convince. He simply steps back, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Because walking away isn't weakness, it's clarity. It's the understanding that your peace, your energy, your presence should never be given to someone who treats it like it's ordinary. And here's the truth most men fear. The moment you walk away is often the moment she finally understands, but by then you must be strong enough not to turn back, because your value is not proven by how long you stay. It's proven by what you refuse to tolerate. So don't wait until you're the one being remembered with regret. Be the man who knows when to stay and, more importantly, when to leave, because the right woman won't need to lose you to understand you. Some lessons in life are only understood through loss, and for many, the value of a good man is one of them. But you don't have to learn it the hard way. Know your worth now. Move with purpose. Choose where you invest your loyalty, because where there is no appreciation, there will always be regret. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Stoic Golden Tribe for more truths that sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and elevate the way you see life. And comment below, I know my value, because a man who understands his worth is a man who can never be replaced.